welcome to another episode of What Are You Selling with me, David Green. And today I am delighted to be joined by Laura M. Drake, the author of The Unexpected Magic. Well, that's book one in the Chronicles of Bandar series, which is perfect for fans of Harry Potter, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Vampire Academy. And you also do another series because one series is never enough. And it's a completely different type of series, which is kind of based on Japanese urban legends, and it's a paranormal thriller with bits of romance as well, just for the challenge. So Laura, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, David. Thank you for letting me come on.
No, thank you for joining me. So I've seen you around and your name about the place since I kind of got into the writing world, from like different groups on Facebook, and obviously recommendations as well. I see your series being recommended all the time when people like pop up on like Indie Fantasy Addicts and say, I'm looking for a book like this, and invariably your name comes up and someone's recommending one of your works. Unexpected Magic, the first book in the Chronicles of Bandar, has like got amazing reviews. It's really well received, and obviously, and that goes through for the whole series as well. So why don't we start talking there, and then we can go into Japanese urban legends, which I'm very, very excited to talk about. So, where did the idea for Unexpected Magic come from? And in your mind, was it always going to be a series, or was it just, you just had this idea that you wanted to do?
Actually, I don't know how common this is among people. I hear some people that are the same, but all of my series starters end up coming from dreams. So it was when I was living in Japan and I had a dream about a boy who was trapped in this crystal that was slowly kind of sucking his life. And then I woke up that morning for work and I was like, whoa, that was crazy. And so I had a super long commute from to my school in Tokyo. It was like 80 minutes. So that whole commute, I just sat there like writing notes it just kept expanding. And I was like, whoa, I think I've got enough for a trilogy here. And I'd never even written I can't remember. I might have published the first Japanese hauntings books at that point, but I was, super new. So I was like, I didn't know what I was doing writing a trilogy. But I was like, this is a lot of stuff here. And it just kept like expanding. And so by the time I got to work, I was like, wow, I really need to write this. And that's how it started.
That's so funny. The last two people, because Wednesday is interview day for me. I do a lot of these videos on a Wednesday. Just a little peek behind the scenes there for everyone listening and watching. And this is why I wear the same clothes in a load of videos. It's because I do them all the same day. I should really just start changing in between interviews, actually, but maybe next time. But yeah, the last two people that I've talked to today and someone last time have all had ideas from dreams.
Yeah, it's like I tell my parents I do my best work when I'm asleep.
Right, yeah. And it's just, what you need to do, you need to get like some technology that plugs into your mind and just records the whole thing.
Yes, that would be so convenient because sometimes you're like too tired to really take notes. So you wake up and you're like, this doesn't make any sense. What was I trying to say? It was really cool at the time.
Yeah, I've done that once or twice where I've not really, I don't really remember my dreams anymore, but I've kind of like had ideas to fix things or solve issues, and when I'm writing something, when I'm about to fall asleep, or I'll wake up and the idea's there, so I'll scroll it down, and the next time I look at it, I'm like, what? This is not even English.
It's exactly right.
Yeah. So before we get into the books, like a little bit about yourself. So you're in Arkansas. You lived in Japan for a while as well.
Yep. So I was born and raised in Arkansas. I'm the youngest of five, and I consider it a pretty big family. I love it because it's like four built-in best friends anywhere I go.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I grew up here. I went to college at Brigham Young University in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up spending about 8 years in Utah between school, and I was a fourth grade teacher. But then I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing with my life? I want to live in Japan. Like, it was always a dream of mine. So then I just moved to Japan, and I found that when I no longer had roommates, as great as they are, I had tons of free time. So I started writing.
So how long did you live in Japan for?
A little over 2 years. I would have been there longer, but I ended up moving back when COVID got crazy. My
Yeah.
mom was worried if I didn't come back, I wouldn't be able to. So I bought a ticket and came home.
Yeah, it's a fair worry. It's a fair worry, really. Like,
Yeah.
I know some people that are, because we have a lot of people from Ireland that go to Australia quite a lot, and there's a lot of people that are like, well, I'm not going to see you for a few years. That's pretty much the way it's been. So yeah, that is crazy. Did you speak Japanese before you went to Japan, or?
Right, you could say that very roughly. Like I took these beginning courses in college, and then I went there for an internship for 3 months in college, and my Japanese was terrible, and I was living with a host family who I feel so bad for now. I'm like, I'm sorry, I did not speak good Japanese at all, and they were just like trying to help me. But I went back again like for a month a couple years later, but then it was when I moved there that I really got like better at it and
Right.
immersed in the culture. So
Yeah, and we'll talk more about Japan in a little while when we talk about Japanese haunting series. Um, Chronicles of Bandar. Why don't you give us the top notes of it? Like, you know, what it is what you want people to know about this series and what it's about and what's unique about it.
yeah, I'd say you did a pretty good job. Like a lot of people, I don't honestly know why, but a lot of people compare it. They're like, oh yeah, I can definitely see Harry Potter influences. And I'm like, you mean because it's a magical academy? Like, is that all it
Yes,
takes now?
that's it.
Like school, like there are definitely series that did that before Harry Potter, but nope,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
Harry Potter if it's like that. So I have um it's elemental magic, which is why I do the avatar there. And also it's like these four elemental tribes that turned into the regions for the country. So that's kind of also an avatar influence.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's got a hint of a missing princess and this royalty, like missing royalty in the country and this civil war thing going on. And it's fun because as the series progresses, I can see myself growing as a writer. Like first it's just like this girl with a crush and her best friends and this person attacking the school and people going missing, but then it expands, like it evolves throughout the series to where it's like the problems are so much bigger than just the school. It's like the entire country, and it's like here you're trying to fit in, and here like by the end of the series they're like trying to, they're ruling, they're the new regent and trying to help bring the country together. So it was kind of fun watching it expand, even for me. Like I don't know, are you a writer, David?
I am. I try to. I try. I have some books published, so I guess I have to be now.
Yeah, I have to claim it now. So
Yeah.
I don't know if this happens to you, but like I remember one day when I would often kind of slack off, I guess, during my prep periods at my school in Japan. Whenever I had free time, I would be writing, like working on the chapters here. And obviously nobody had read any of these books yet because the first wasn't even published and it was all in my head. But I remember that I found out that this character was related to this character and it wouldn't be revealed until a later book in the series. But I realized it as I was writing and I was like blown away because I didn't know that when I started. And I had like nobody to share it with, and it was very disheartening. And now when I tell people, they're like, how did you not know that? I'm like, I didn't see it coming.
Yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes your own stuff surprises you, and what
Yes.
also surprises you as well is when you send something out for someone to read, and then they come back and they talk about this, like this theme that you put in this, and you kind of like, yes, I did that on purpose.
Yes, like, yeah, I also saw that and I meant to do that.
Yeah, and it's funny how you're saying about how people like kind of pick up on, various things that they'll liken something to. Because a lot of time then it's just basically what they've read before, like with some people, like, so it's got an academy, so people say Harry Potter. Like I'm a big Wheel of Time fan, and I don't know if you checked out the channel, but we do a Wheel of Time show on here as well, and I was kind of laughing at a lot of the reviews for the TV show from people that had never seen fantasy before, apart from Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings, because everyone was like, this is too much like Game of Thrones, or this isn't enough like Game of Thrones. It's like, it's nothing like Game of Thrones. Right? But that's the thing as well, people just have to pull that through. I remember, obviously I've read Harry Potter. I mean, everyone's read Harry Potter, and I remember when the first King Killer Chronicles book came out, the Patrick Rothfuss one. The series is still not finished, by the way. And if you're watching Patrick Rothfuss, you're not, but please finish that book off, because that was set in a school, Like people are like, it's like an adult Harry Potter, and it's like it's nothing like Harry Potter.
Like literally any academy, and it's like, oh, you're taking your influence from Harry Potter. And you're like, no, I'm really not.
Yeah, it's like, you know, that there was people went to school before Harry Potter, and people will be going to school afterwards. You know, it's just one of those things. It's like if you're creating a world, any kind of world where people use magic, people need to go to a place where they learn magic. Right?
Yes, right.
Because otherwise people be like, oh, how do they learn it and what do they do? So no, the Avatar similarities are quite interesting though, because obviously Avatar has a huge fan base. We're not talking about the movie now because
Oh, of course not.
not a lot of people like the movie, but you know, all the other stuff. So I take it you're a big fan of Avatar.
Huge fan. Like I love cartoons. Like obviously being a huge fan of Japan, like animated things, it's right up my alley. But Avatar, I just think it's great. It's like this great storyline that just gets deeper with like each arc that it goes through. And it's like funny and clean and just like these really unique characters in this really unique world too. And I just like loved it. So when I first started writing, I could definitely see. I was like, oh, I'm being too influenced by Avatar. I need to tone it back.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you can't help it though. And loads of the big names do it. Again, like Queen of Time has a huge Lord of the Rings influence in it. Like, you know, and it's literally there from page one. And you're like, he liked Lord of the Rings. He liked it a lot. So with that series, Chronicles of Bandar, that's over and is it done, or is there more to come? Is there any
Nope.
spin-offs?
I've got these three. This is the first. You can see I got progressively fatter as I got more
Yeah,
prolific.
yeah.
My brother likes to tell me that it looks like this book ate the first two books. So
Yeah,
I was like, you're not wrong.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a trilogy, and the series is complete. But I'm thinking what I would like to do is a bit of a spoiler, but there's a character that didn't get a chance to tell her story that I would like to tell it after the main story wrapped up. And then I also would like to do like a prequel series before, like 100 years before the Andor series starts, still in the same world, but this specific trilogy is over.
That's the good thing about when you create a world though as well, is because that story that you're telling is finished doesn't mean there's not more stories to tell in the world that's happening.
Yeah, I've like even just like I've had a lot of so these books change. This one, the person on the cover is the point of view character for the book, so you can see that it changes to a different guy
Yeah.
and a different guy. And a lot of readers are like disappointed that it doesn't do dual point of view in books 2 and 3 because they grow attached to the girl. Her name's Emmeline or Emmy. They're like, why? What's happening with Emmy? We want to know. And I'm like, well, like I won't spoil anything, but I'm like, it's not really super possible for me to go into that. So I think it'd be super fun actually to go back and rewrite books 2 and 3 from Emmy's point of view and like a condensed version for readers. Like I see the need, the demand, and I'm like, I could fill that pretty easily. Like I know when authors that I like do that, I soak it in. Like I love multiple point of view tellings.
Yeah, I mean, I saw like the author of the Hunger Games did it with one of their books.
Oh yeah.
And obviously Twilight, not was it Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey did the same thing.
Yeah, I haven't read any of those, but I do, and I actually didn't. I don't know if I read the Twilight one, but I do remember her coming out with it like years later. She did the like Edward's point of view.
Yeah, it's a novel kind of twist, I think.
Yeah, it's like interesting seeing even just like the same. It's like you already know the story, but just seeing it from a new perspective is so fascinating.
Yeah. So let's talk about Japanese haunting. So you started writing these when you moved to Japan. So there's 4 of them now in the series. So these are you told me the more paranormal suspense than romance, though there is a little bit of romance in there as well.
Yes. This one sadly was also based on a dream, a very terrifying dream that I had. And so I woke up and I was like, whoa, that sparked the first one. And then after that, I was like, oh, I'd like to turn this into a series. So I researched famous like Japanese ghost. And I was like, oh, I'll do this one for the second and third. So each book introduces a new ghost while also continuing the ghost from book 1. It's like this overarching story.
Okay.
And yeah, it's very heavy on suspense. Like some readers have compared it to The Grudge. and but it's clean. It's not like gore. I mean, there's some blood in some of them, but it's like pretty clean and not gory. It's just like it's like a yeah, just I guess very suspenseful. Some ghost stuff going on, and yeah, there's like a very slow burn romance that spans the series.
Okay. I mean, Japanese suspense generally is quite clean anyway, you know, so it sticks with the styling that you're trying to go with.
And in similar Japanese style, it doesn't always have the happiest of endings,
Right.
but fair warning.
Right. And you continued to, obviously you wrote the first one around that time, and then you've continued to work on these alongside the Chronicles of Andar. Well, how was that switching between the two different worlds and genres?
Well, what happened was I wrote the first one, The Move, and then I published it because I was so excited. It was my first book, and I was like, yes, I should share this with the world, not realizing generally how terrible first novels are. And so I do that, and then I started working on the Unexpected Magic a couple months later. And as I learn more about writing, and I like get beta readers and critique partners, and I start beta reading, and I'm like, whoa, I made a huge mistake. So I actually ended up unpublishing it on Amazon.
Right.
And then I focused on the Magic trilogy, and I did all 3 books for the next year and a half or so. And then this last October, I went back and I was like, I'm going to republish the Hauntings books for Halloween. And I did all 4 in the month of October.
Yeah,
So
they all came out. Yeah, they all came out right in October, didn't they? Like, and it's all there. The 4 books are all there, ready to go.
yeah, I would not recommend doing that, by the way. It was terrible.
They're too scary, is it? To get an
No, just releasing 4 books in a month. I had no life, and I was like so burned out.
Yeah, definitely. So you've been kind of you've been learning as you've been working, but you've been steadily releasing books for the last couple of years now. So what's the biggest kind of learning that you've done from this whole process?
I'd say the most important thing that I've learned is that you can't be afraid to receive feedback, because it's like when I compare my first draft of my books to like the published versions, I'm like, wow, thank goodness I let it grow the way it did, because it's so much better now. And I think some people are scared of, they're scared of feedback, but it's like you have to take it not as like a criticism and what you're not doing well, but like hey, here's some helpful advice for ways that you can improve to make your story even better. And then when you get it and you can apply it to the rest of your writing. And so that's been really important. Like getting beta readers and being a beta reader is something I'd recommend for every writer.
Yeah, like being a beta reader is a great experience as well, because you get that kind of discussion with the author about certain things, and you might have some kind of feedback on something, and then they could come to you and say, well, this is the reason why I've been doing this and this and this, and you have that, your understanding of the process deepens a little bit more.
And it's so much easier to see what they're doing well and what they're not doing well when you're looking at it with someone else's writing, and then you can take that and you're like, oh, how am I doing with that in my writing? Even though it's like you're really blind to a lot of your own faults, I feel like, but that helps kind of take away the blinders a little bit.
Exactly. So what is next for you? So obviously we talked about your your plans that you've got for Chronicles of Bandar, where you might do different point of view, or you might do some prequels. The Japanese hauntings, you got the 4 books. What's next on the plate?
So I'm currently writing it's my first standalone book, so I'm really excited about it because I love the idea of not having a whole series to deal. So I'm writing my first, it's like a fantasy, enemies to lovers, which is kind of fun too. It's my first time doing that. It's this girl who's trapped in, I guess not like trapped, but huge spoiler alert, but at the end of chapter 1, she finds out that she's dead. And so the whole book takes place in this place called the In-Between, and she's trying to get back to her life. And to do that, she has to do all these things. And anyway, so that's that novel. So I'm pretty excited about that, hoping to release it, I don't know, March or April. And then I want to do that magic book. And then I think it'd be fun to do another, like a revisit the hauntings world for Halloween and release a 5th book, like, again, not part of the main series. So that's kind of my 2022 goals.
So you got plenty planned for 2022.
Yes. I think I have way too many books planned and not enough life to fit them in.
Yeah, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. So where can everyone who is watching on YouTube or on Spotify, and if when you're watching, if you've not subscribed to us before, please do subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Spotify and Apple Music. But yeah, so everyone who's watching or listening, where are the best places to find you and your work?
Well, I'm on Facebook. I'm pretty sure you can just Google like Laura M. Drake books, and there's a Facebook group there that I started when I first started releasing the Andar books. I'm on Instagram with Laura M. Drake books. Please don't forget the M. There's a Laura Drake that's a totally different genre writer. That's not me.
Yeah.
So Facebook, Instagram, I have a website. Again, it's like a Wix site, Laura M. Drake. I am on Twitter and terribly inactive, so I need to do better about that. But just the normal places, really. Also, I have a sign up list. Like every series, at the end of the book, there's like a bonus scene for in exchange for signing up for the email list. So I have the email that you can get. So yeah, any of those places.
Excellent. And all of those that Laura has just mentioned will be in the show notes below, so please check them out. Laura, thank you so much for coming onto the show today. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, David, it's been great talking to you too. Good luck with everything.
Thanks very much, you too. And for everyone who's watching, thanks for staying till the end. Until next time.